been through Germany, much of Europe. He's been through South America. He's been at the border of the U.S. He's tracking migrant flows out of the Middle East and into Western Europe and so on. A very informed individual. He understands what's going on with food and fertilizer and all of that. I can't believe we didn't talk before, but
Hey, shalom, shalom.
Been through Germany, much of Europe. He's been through South America. He's been at the border of the U.S. He's tracking migrant flows.
Hey, call all y'all by coming outside the water.
So on. Very informed individual. He understands what's going on with food and fertilizer and all of that. I can't believe we didn't talk before, but been through Germany, much of Europe. He's been through South America. He's been at the border of the U.S. He's tracking migrant flows. East and into Western Europe and so on. Very informed.
All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakudash. All right, double honors unto our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom, Wakasai, and Barbarakim. Peace, mercy, and blessings to the hopeful elect. The true name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh, which means he exists or he is to be. The true name of the Son is Yahushai, which means he is to deliver. All right, and we are the Hebrew Israelites, which consist of the so-called Negroes, blacks, Africans, Haitians, Jamaicans, West Indians, Latino, Hispanics, Dominicans, Cubans, Puerto Ricans. Okay, but we actually make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel, right? And on top of that, the nation of Israel is the scattered nation according to the diaspora and the curses. Okay, so the Israelites are scattered all over. All right, and the so-called white men, they're not white, they're red. They're the Edomites according to the Holy Bible. Right, and as you can see, this is a video on BitChute, right, but it actually comes from Natural News. All right, Mike Adams, excuse me, it says Michael Yon tells Mike Adams that Western Europe is destroying itself with green energy policies. Okay, so I wanted to touch on that. You know, I just got a few articles going to in the spirit. As you can see, this also from Natural News. It says, Florida in panic ahead of Hurricane Ian making landfall, grocery shelves strip bare. You know, so definitely going to be sending up prayers for the Akim out there, you know, the elders, you know, the hopeful elect out there in Florida, you know, because it looks like, you know, this hurricane is set to you know, to make landfall soon. You know, so we got to send up those prayers for the elect down there, which through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yoshai and by faith, we know that they're going to be all right anyway, you know, but this is still in the news, things that we got to touch on, right? And also, this is from End Time Headlines. It says Europeans are looking at the possibility of having to choose between staying warm or eating this winter, right? So yeah, just got a few articles I want to go into and bring out some scriptures through the spirit, power of Yahweh Shem Yoshai. You know, I got my swords in front of me. I ain't gonna pull it up on the screen because right now I'm using StreamYards and I don't want it to slow down or, you know, disrupt what's playing. Right. So first, I'm gonna play this short video, which Apostle on this as well. But as you can see, this is from it says the British pound drops to record low. Okay, so pretty much what's happening, you know, this whole crisis between Ukraine and Russia is putting a huge strain on the you know, the food supply and the energy supply over there in Europe. Okay, and the cause of that is causing the British pound to drop to record lows. Okay, this is all prophecy, man, because the scripture says that there's going to be an economic collapse. You know, when you deal with British, the UK, that's actually dealing with the beast, NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Okay, and those different nations of Europe that goes into the different heads of the beast. All right.
Of England forced to intervene, saying it will not hesitate to change interest rates as necessary. There's another couple of hundred for when that's done.
The City of London woke up to a currency crisis.
Let me sit down.
The pound sent.
Notice they mentioned London, which London, going into the three unclean spirits like frogs from Revelation 16. It's dealing with London is one of those unclean spirits, dealing with the financial aspect or district or power from this beast. Then you have Washington, D.C., the military branch. And then you have the religious or the spiritual side of it, aspect of it, coming from the Vatican. Okay, so this is big news.
Has hit its lowest ever level against the US dollar. The Bank of England forced to intervene, saying it will not hesitate to change interest rates as necessary. There's another couple of hundred for when that's done.
The City of London woke up to a currency crisis.
Let me sit down, Pete, John.
The pound sent tumbling on Asian markets to its lowest ever level against the dollar, a global vote of no confidence in government plans to fuel growth with borrowing.
If the growth doesn't come through as expected or doesn't come through quickly enough, the size of that debt is going to be bigger than it was, and the cost to service it is going to be bigger than it was, and you're into a little bit of a doom loop. There are shades of the 1970s here in terms of when the government had to go cap in hand to the IMF. So that's really what's in the back of traders' minds at the moment.
I'm not going to make any comment now. 72 hours after his statement triggered the sell-off, Kwasi Kwarteng had nothing to say publicly, but the Treasury has promised he will provide more detail of how debt will be brought down in November in a coordinated intervention with the Bank of England. The bank monitoring developments in financial markets very closely in light of the significant repricing of financial assets. The Monetary Policy Committee will not hesitate to change interest rates by as much as needed to return inflation to the 2% target sustainably in the medium term, in line with its remit. When that meeting comes in November, markets are forecasting Andrew Bailey will have to announce a rate rise as high as 2% to keep inflation in check. After a tumultuous day that saw the cost of government borrowing rise even as the pound fell, the bank's statement is an attempt to reassure markets. But emergency interventions like this are extremely rare and only come in times of crisis. International investors, though, are so rattled by new government policy, it might not be the last. A weak currency drives up the cost of imports, including food and fuel for consumers already feeling the pinch.
I only work part-time, but I am thinking, do I need to up hours at work to keep up with the lifestyle that we have as well, to maintain?
We're only in here for a couple of little bits today, so it's getting ridiculous. All the financial services and industries and followers that I read, they all say they're scared and they're worried, and it's when professionals are saying that they're scared that makes me worried then.
The turmoil has forced the Halifax, Skipton Building Society and Virgin Money to withdraw mortgage products as customers rush to secure fixed rates, amplifying the market message that we bank and go in different directions. So have to give.
Yeah, so right now, we're pretty much in the midst of economic war. There's wars, there's rumors of wars. Hey, Shalom, Yachim by Shimmer Crocodile Spark of Thumb. And I was watching this video from Michael Adams, and you can see on the article from End Time Headlines. It says Europeans are looking at the possibility of having to choose between staying warm this winter or eating this winter. Okay. And you gotta understand that when you're dealing with Europe, that's dealing with the America, you're dealing with Babylon the Great, also the horror of Revelation 17. All right. So real quick, I'm gonna touch on that quick. Let's go into it. Because Yahweh Shem Yoshai is gonna put difference so that these apps and war brings pestilence. Okay, that's the triple threat right there. You got war, you got pestilence, and you got famine. All right, this is Revelation 17 verse 1. the woman and the scarlet beast. The woman, when you go into this chapter, it breaks it down, right? But it's dealing with the whore, which is Babylon the Great, which is America. It's there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven he's saying. It says, saying unto me, hither, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. A Shalom, Yahweh, by Shem Yahushai, by Shem Bakagadosh Bakathum, where it says sitting upon many waters, right? Because you got, America has pretty much, U.S. Embassy consulates, it has over the whole entire world, right? That's why in Book of Jeremiah is referred to as the hammer of the earth that goes around oppressing the nations, rape, robbing, polluting, stealing the natural resource, sending in the economic hitmen, putting a puppet in regime, and putting the country in debt that they can never. And they pretty much own those lands, those peoples, and those countries, putting sanctions on nations. Okay, so you got Cuba alphabet law. So all of these different nations, they follow the pattern or the blueprint that Babylon the Great has laid out or has given them. These they have drunk from that golden cup. Okay, it says, "Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters." And that judgment is this place being turned into a lake of fire. Okay, you can read Revelation 18. You know that's the judgment of the great whore. It says, "With whom the earth have committed fornication." All right, meaning that the other nations have lain with her. They have did deals. They have tangled with her. Okay, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine for fornication, going into the different philosophies that this nation pushes on others. As I just said, you just said Cuba passed laws to give alphabets rights. You have zoophiles. You have women rights movement. You have LIB. You have another thing Babylon is known for right now is what? Feminism. Okay, that do as thou wilt spirit. You see the religion, the Afroenos, the economy, the money. It says, so he carried me away into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast. That beast is going into NATO and the EU, pretty much the differences of Europe, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Touch real quick. I got it in my notes. Which you can, the image. If you just Google GMS Revelation 17, the image will pop up. It says the first head will be the Greeks, British, the UK, and Ireland, with those pretty much one nation or country. That's why it's called the UK, the United Kingdom. You have Spain, you have France, you have Italy, you have Germania Major, Germania Minor, which is pretty much the Czech Republic, so you can understand. Okay, and this is called the also NATO organization, which is in the military alliance by the Atlantic Treaty, also called the Washington Treaty, on April 4th, 1949. Okay, Article 5 of this treaty states that an attack on one of these nations is pretty much like an attack on all the countries. Okay, so we see the tension between Ukraine, which used to be a part of the Soviet Union, the bear is not part of the beast, the building God Putin, so you can understand. Which those are Idumeans as well, but they're not part of the beast, they're part of the whore. You see how Bashem Shai set this thing up perfectly so that Idumea can destroy himself with the weapons he allowed them to create. Because ultimately, you're going to have the bear shoot their nukes. And also, guess what? The beast is going to turn against the whore too. You see? So I'm gonna play some of this video.
Michael, thank you, sir. Thank you for joining me. It's an honor to have you on.
It's a great honor to have to come on your show, and I'm very happy that you have, because like I said, about half of my readers listen to you. So everybody's saying, why don't you on Mike Adams? So anyway,
we're making it work. Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, now we are. And so I've been in Europe this time for about 3 months. I was down in Mexico 3 months ago, and tracking the migrant flows, watching them come across into Texas and that sort of thing. And then I saw how the Dutch farmers were getting very riled up. So I jumped on the airplane and flew to Netherlands. And so for the last 3 months, I've been in Netherlands, and also in Germany and Luxembourg, Belgium. I just got back from Hungary and Austria and Germany again. Just rolled in here to Amsterdam because I got to meet up with Jordan Peterson. I'm about to spend 2 days with him.
Also, when you go into the beast, Revelation 17, it mentions the 10 heads, and the 7 heads and 10 horns. All right. Now the 10 horns is dealing with 10 kings or rulers or leaders of these nations, or the nobility. Okay, so you got Belgium, which he mentioned. I believe he mentioned. You got Denmark, you got France, you got Italy, you got Luxembourg. I know he mentioned Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. Those are 2 horns. That's the 2 of the 10 horns, man. Okay, Greece, Spain, Portugal, England, Ireland, West Germany. Okay, so he's over there in the beast, pretty much breaking down what's happening right now. They're dealing with a major energy crisis, man. Right?
I was on Jordan Peterson's show, and we did about 2 hours talking about food and fertilizer and energy, something I've heard you talk about with great accuracy.
Yes.
And so after I talked about that with him for a couple of hours, it kind of lit a fire, and he wants to spend a couple days with me here. So we're gonna. That's why I just rolled in, and he's flying in, and I'm gonna take him out to see some farmers and that sort of thing. And so,
very cool.
As you know, the big story of our entire lifetimes, or many generations at least, would be the energy supply right now, because the energy issue is a kill shot. As you know, nitrogen-based fertilizers are largely created using the Haber-Bosch process, which you've talked about before. In fact, I was just over at the BASF plant in Ludwigshafen, Germany. BASF, I've been there twice in the last couple of months, but BASF is a huge chemical company, and they started making nitrogen-based fertilizers in roughly 1914.
Yes.
I think they started their first plant there, and it was doing 200 pounds an hour or something. I don't recall, but it was and it was based on Fritz Haber. He wrote a book on thermodynamics in 1905. Describing certain chemical processes wherein he could make ammonia, right? So Fritz Haber, who later got the Nobel Prize, I think in 1918 for this, but he developed the original process, and then Karl Bosch, also a German chemist, was then hired by BASF, and Bosch took it corporate, right? So they could actually make large amounts of the fertilizer, and that's why it's called the Haber-Bosch process. And so this Haber-Bosch process.
Well, let me interject for background for those listening. This process that you're describing, Michael, feeds about 4 billion people. So without this process, half the planet would starve, literally. And that this uses hydrocarbons, the actual hydrogen that's in the ammonia molecule, NH3. The H comes from natural gas.
Which we can't forget that earlier this year, the Georgia Guidestones, they so-called just out of nowhere, they just blew up. Whether lightning struck them or it was a controlled demolition, that's definitely an omen. Okay, and we can't forget that on those stones, that's pretty much their version of the 10 Commandments. They want to keep the population under 500 billion. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, or million, excuse me. But it's over 7.8 billion people on the planet right now. Okay, and the way that things are being set up, there's still food processing plants burning down here in the States, over there in Paris. So the ways of looking is that we're on the cusp of a major global famine, which the scripture tells you that many of them that dwell upon the earth, which I'm going to get, shall perish of a great famine. You see?
Okay, I just want to provide that background.
Oh yeah, and so the Haber-Bosch process is like the Suez and the Panama Canal times 10. This is
exactly.
This is on the criticality to the population on Earth. Most of us would not be here without the Haber-Bosch process, and so if the process of creating nitrogen-based fertilizers is seriously interrupted, then we're going to see massive famines, which is something I've been warning about since January of 2020. And what is this? So this is more than 2.5 years later. I've been warning about it practically every day since January 2020.
That's amazing. You and I must have been some of the very first people to be sounding the alarm on this, because I remember, I think it was in late 2020 that I was on InfoWars, and I did a whole show on this. And a lot of people were like, what are you talking about? Why are you talking about Haber and fertilizer? I'm like, people, this is coming. Because here, let me offer something else. I'll turn it back over to you, Michael. But the Haber process requires, I think, 200 atmospheres of pressure, and you have to pull nitrogen out of the atmosphere. So you have to have a massive facility to do this under intense pressure and intense heat, with all the hardware that goes along with that. And you have to use a lot of electricity to run that plant in order to strip, the nitrogen out of the air, and in order to strip hydrogen off of the hydrocarbons. So when Germany doesn't have both natural gas and affordable electricity, you can't run this process, period. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. That's why I'm here. I mean, I was just over at the BASF plant, which was the original, plant that thing's 10 square miles, Mike. I mean, it's unbelievable.
What?
When you go in there, it's like, futuristic horror movie Soylent Green is made there. So I went right by the original plant from 1914. I think it actually started in 1913, but they started producing in 14 or 15. But not that matters, but that's still there actually. And so so I asked, as you know, Nord Stream 1 is cut off right now, and Nord Stream, that feeds BASF, and there's 26 plants that create this ammonia-based fertilizer around Europe, and they're all either shut down now or mostly shut down. My guess, and it's very difficult to find accurate numbers on this, so part of this is Kentucky windage, but about 70% of it appears to be cut off. But this is a guess. It's an educated
I think that's accurate.
It is a guess.
Well, and whatever they're running on right now is stored natural gas that is not getting replenished. So there's really no plan for these plants to be able to return to normal capacity that I can tell within years.
Mike, They're not going to. I mean, you can see the writing on the wall. I mean, you clearly see things way ahead of most people. Your headlights are quite bright, And I just drove from Budapest up through Austria and then all the way across Germany to get here, right? So it just took 2 days, and you wouldn't believe how much forest is being cut down. It's like so much for green. I mean, in the shadow of all these, monstrous windmills, a lot of them are not even turning. They're cutting down massive amounts of German forest to stay warm this winter. I mean, it's unbelievable.
For firewood.
Yep. And
wow. Now you speak German too, don't you?
Believe it.
You speak German.
What's that, Mike? Oh yeah, I spreche Deutsch. I just did an interview down in Austria that was only in German, and the reason I speak German is because I was a Green Beret and I went to language school for it in California, and then I lived in Germany 4 years.
It's lucky to be playing it like that, but they got some good points up in here I want to hit. Now there's a long video. But I think the point is, I was actually watching this earlier, as I was doing my deliveries. I just let it play, But he had spoke about them cutting down trees to keep them warm this winter, because this guy is traveling across Europe, right? This is the definition of deforestation. It says the action of clearing a wide area of trees, right? And that pretty much going into Esau being that feller from Isaiah 14. Right? This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14. And I can actually start at 1, but I'm going to get to the point. This is Isaiah 14 and verse 7. Actually, I could start at 6. See, I'm going to have to start up. I'm going to start at 5. It says, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua had broken the staff. Now the staff going into the rulership, okay, of the wicked. Okay, now we know when we go to the book of Malachi, it refers to the Idumeans as the wicked. Okay, and I'm saying it like this to speak in code, for the algorithms, the censorship. Pretty much we're entering the famine of the word. Okay, it says, and the scepter of the rulers, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, and that goes into the horror being the hammer of the earth. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindered. And it's when this man falls, okay, because when you watch all of these apocalyptic movies like The Road, the Book of Eli, Darkest Hour, Annihilation, which you can watch that on Tubi. The brothers put me on. You can watch Implanted on Tubi. The brothers put me on to those movies, man. Whenever you watch these movies, what it's showing you, what you're witnessing is Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation, the rice device, the bite from the dragon, Revelation 13. Okay, and to sum that up, what that is pretty much the end of Esau's world. Okay, but you have to remember there's something greater coming after this man's end. It's because Jacob or Israel, starting with the elect, Yahweh and the first fruits, is the beginning of it that follow it. You see? So with this man going down, all of these things happen. There's wars, there's rumors of wars, the collapsing of these economies. Okay, he has to fall. It's prophesied for him to fall. Right? This is the second leg of the Roman Empire, man. And in the midst of that, Yahweh is going to come with that stone, all right, from Daniel, the second chapter, to destroy these nations, man. Okay? This is from the book of 2nd Esdras 15 and verse 10, because he's pretty much dealing with how the fertilizer shortage and there's energy crisis. They pretty much got to cut down all the damn forests to keep warm this winter. So what you think that's going to do to the ecosystem, the habitat, everything this man does, it has a domino effect to affect something else. You see, this is 2nd Esdras 15 and verse 10. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter to my people, that's the Israelites. Okay, there's Judas goats, there's sellouts, there's people among our nations who teach for filthy lucre's sake and deceive our people. There's people who don't teach about the rice device. Okay, it says, I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, which is dealing with America. But you got to remember, that's the whore that's riding upon this beast. So we have to talk about this beast too, right? But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before. So Yahweh Shem Yahushua is smiting this devil, man. Wherever they're ruling from, they're being smitten, okay? And will destroy all the land thereof, okay? Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and the punishment that Yahweh Shem Yahushua shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, right? And that's going into people who own land, who farmers. Like earlier this year, you had the farmers in the Netherlands, or Dutch farmers were protesting. They were in uproars. The price of fertilizers is sky high. Okay, so the famine that's coming is unescapable, man. Okay, there's no way to get out of it. It says, they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail and with a fearful constellation. They're already saying that this is going to be a very cold winter. We already, might as well say, we're already in the month of October. So this year is flying, the time is being shortened. Okay, it was a hot winter, it's getting ready to be it was a hot summer, it's getting ready to be a cold winter, man.
And lived in Poland for 2 years, so I picked up a lot of German.
Yeah.
So when I went to Austria, they asked me if I would do an interview, which I just did about maybe 5 days ago, and it went viral by Austrian standards. And because a lot of the Austrians didn't know this was happening, but they realized something was wrong. They knew something, but nobody had put together the Haber-Bosch, all the different things, all these, like basically, there's Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, which is basically the two arteries in your neck, and Nord Stream
Right.
2, of course, has never been opened.
Right.
And Nord Stream 1 is now completely off, right?
Yes.
And so, in addition to that, Germany is just making things worse. It's like Germany's committing suicide. I mean, Germany continues to provoke Russia, like by nationalizing one of their refineries a couple days ago, which there's no oil for it anyway. But it's just all these. There's all these moves that Germany is making, and the United States, that are going to put Europe into a very cold winter. I mean, people. I mean, like I would bet money that a lot of people are going to freeze to death in Germany this year.
Yes.
And as you know, when Germany is the powerhouse for the EU, 26 countries in the EU, which will almost certainly fall apart. I would say, I'm going to guess next year that the EU will collapse, right? Because it
does, because of course they have course of actions have to take place. Just going back to Revelation 17, it's talking about the the 7 heads, the 10 horns. It says that they will hate the whore, so they're going to turn against her as well. The whore dealing with America. All right. Let me see. Yep, I'm gonna get right to the point. This is Revelation 17 and 16. It says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast." Okay, and let's just go over these 10 horns real quick. Again, that's Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, Spain and Portugal, England, Ireland, West Germany. Okay, that's pretty much what this guy Michael Yan is touching on. Okay, it says, "These shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." So he's going how a lot of people, they're gonna either starve, or what they're gonna have to choose between starving or freezing. You see?
For instance, Italy is already, some of the more crass economists call them the pigs nations: Portugal, Italy, Greece, and Spain. Pigs, because they're the lowest fruit on the EU.
Right, which that's prophecy, man. You go into the book of Daniel, chapter 2, it speaks about that. That's what it's talking about. All right. So let's get that. This is Daniel chapter 2. This is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 40. "And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise." And that fourth kingdom, we know, is dealing with the Roman Empire. Okay, but there's two legs of the Roman Empire. Now we're in the pretty much, what American and the beast is the Roman Empire being revived. This says 41. "And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided." Right? And we know that from the book of Matthew: "A house divided shall not stand." So the Yahweh Shem Yahshua is putting the spirit of division between these Idumeans. Okay? "But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron," which the iron is going into the stronger of the stronger economies of the nations of the beast, like London, for example. That's why it's a huge deal that the British pound is dropping, right? "But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, and as the toes of the feet were part iron," meaning part of this beast is stronger than the other, okay, "and part of clay, So the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken, and partly strong is dealing with the stronger economies of Europe. And partly broken is dealing with the pigs nation that he just named. You got Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, and Spain. Okay. So what he going into, the spirit and prophet Yahweh Shem Shah elders have been, bringing this out, filtering through the scripture for years. But now we're in those times, man. Now we're in the time of the third world coming quickly. Where these nations gonna turn on the horde, especially the beast. All right, the world economies are collapsing, which this is by, which this is being done by design, because we know a new form of currency has to come on the world scale scene, right? Going back to an interview between Aaron Russo and David Rockefeller, which is gonna be the device, right? That's the size of a grain of rice, man. That they want to put inside of you for total control, right?
Resiliency scale. And Germany, and especially Germany, but also France has been keeping them afloat. But meanwhile, Germany is cutting its own thread on the energy. Nord Stream 1 is closed. Of course, Russia did it, but Germany provoked it. And because Russia wants to sell that gas. Russia has encouraged Germany many times to open Nord Stream 2. And the United States has told Germany not to do it and that sort of thing. But of course, Trump warned years ago, as you're well aware, if you basically put your neck into Russia's noose, sooner or later they're going to own you, right? Mm-hmm. But anyway,
right. So Russia's not part of the beast. It's not part of the whore either. They're at war with one another. You see, that's the Lord's doing that because they fit the prophecy of Gog and Magog up in that landmass over there in Russia, right? They're being mobilized. I saw the elders from San Fran, Elder Canucks video about how they're being mobilized, man. What are these Babylonians doing? While over there, I saw another video actually on World Star where a guy, had his friend break his leg so he won't get drafted. So it's serious, man. This shit is serious. All right, actually, let's go into that, man. Get two scriptures real quick. This is Matthew 24. This is Matthew 24, verse 6, right to the point. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Right, real quick. Let me put up this article on my phone. It says, I'll put the link in the chat. It says U.S. threatens Russia over use of nuclear weapons rhetoric. Okay, so that's wars and rumors of war. They doing a full blown draft over there. You got people having their friend break their leg so they won't get drafted. Okay, let's see if I can post that up in the article as well, man. All right. Yeah, so there's a lot happening, man, on a global scale, All right, I'm gonna get this other one in Matthew 12. This is Matthew chapter 12, verse 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Okay, and when you deal with Babylon, the whore is completely divided. Okay, it's getting ready to spiral into a civil war with the leftists, the rightists, the modern day plebeian patricians, Democrats, Republicans, red states, blue states. People who voted for Sleepy Creepy versus people who were pro-Trump. You see, there's division between gender, okay, between race is divided every which way in this country, but dealing with the nation of Edom as a whole, they're divided. Okay, it says, and Yahweh knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then shall his kingdom stand? So his kingdom can't stand for much longer, man. It's too divided, you know. But this is the Lord's will. The Lord said he came not to bring peace, but a sword. He came to bring division, right?
Long story short, natural gas, obviously there's not enough, so Germany's draining its tanks right now, its stores. And meanwhile, Germany has said they're going to close their three remaining nuclear plants, right? And so, and now a lot of people say, no, Germany then said they're going to keep them open again. That's true. But then Germany, again, after that, they're going to close those, and we're going to keep two of them on hot standby, which means they continue to use energy to stay hot standby, but they're not going to produce any, right? And meanwhile, they're cutting down the forest all over Germany, Poland, Romania. They're cutting down these forests in huge amounts. I'm seeing log trucks all over the roads and just forest cleared hills as I just drove all the way across Germany. Germany is being denuded of its forest. I'm really curious what it would look like from a satellite when I just saw that from the Autobahn for 2 days, right?
Well, I'm sure the greenies must be thrilled that we're not burning coal and natural gas and that people are chopping down forests instead, right? I mean, obviously that's very green.
Yeah, they're going to have to hug the trees before they throw them in the fireplace now because they're being chopped down.
Well, let me bring something else in here that you're just talking about. So Germany, as of yesterday, Germany is now nationalizing their natural gas utility company called Uniper, and the government of Germany is pumping $8 billion into it, which is on top of 15 billion euros, which is roughly equivalent to the dollar right now, folks, if you're wondering what that equals. So that's $23 billion going into this natural gas company just to prevent it from having kind of a Lehman-style collapse, like a too-big-to-fail collapse. But the question is, who else does the German government have to bail out? And how much money how many euros can Germany?
And then they actually go into profound famine. And now you start getting these whatever sort of pandemics take hold and huge migrations and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's very interesting. There's real dynamics that if you study these things enough, you'll start to be able to anticipate what's likely to happen and be ready for it.
This is what I want to ask you. So about price controls and rationing, and then government confiscation, and typically the criminalization of so-called hoarding, which is just people who are planning ahead. So could you talk about those things again? Price controls, rationing, government confiscation, and, quote, hoarding.
Hoarding, yeah, go straight to hoarding, because there was a German show on television 2 days or yesterday maybe, and this German news lady, she had a cart. You know how big American grocery carts are, but the European ones are often like 1/3 that size.
Right.
So she's got this 1/3 size, what we would call a micro cart, and like halfway filled, and she's like, I have enough food here for 10 days, and she's like, what could lead to such hoarding? I'm like, 10 days? Are you kidding? In the Army, we'd carry that much in a rucksack. So
right.
It's like and batteries and ammo. It's like, but maybe not 10 days, but you know what I mean. And so, but the bottom line is hoarding. Now, when the governments start to get into dire straits, they always do price controls, and they always fail in every case. You can do price controls that will work as long as your economy underneath it is strong, right? But when your economy is collapsing, like Weimar Germany happens all the time around the world, and Panama's doing right now with almost 100 items, eventually it will collapse and fail, right? And
that's exactly what we're heading into, man. A complete economic collapse, of not just the dollar, but these other currencies as well. This is Ezekiel chapter 7. This is Ezekiel chapter 7. Well, actually, I'm gonna start at 1. It says, the end is come, Moreover, the word of Yahweh Shem Shai came unto me, saying, Also, thou son of man, thus said Yahweh Shem Shai, the power unto the land of Israel. And the end is come upon the four corners of the land. Now is the end come upon thee, and I will send my anger upon thee. That's what we're getting ready to witness, man. Okay. See, Jacob's trouble is going to transpire into the trouble of the Dumians and all these different heathen nations, man. It says, and will judge thee according to thy ways, and will recompense upon thee all thine abominations. Because you got it when this shit collapsed, man. A lot of people that may freeze over there, starve over there in Europe, is gonna be what? Wicked ass Israelites. But that's the judgment of Yahweh Shem Shai. Okay, because you have Idumeans, they're in the spirit of doomsday prepping, which we don't tell you to prep. Because obviously these devils have executive orders on the books so that they can come in your house and they can take your car, they can occupy your house, they can take you. Okay? Now, would it be wise to have a little extra food and water? Yeah, it would. You know? It says, and my eyes shall not spare thee, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense thy ways upon thee, and thine abominations shall be in the midst of thee. And ye shall know that I am Yahweh Shem Shai power. Thus said Yahweh Shem Shai, and evil, and only evil, behold, is come. And end is come, the end is come, and watch it for thee. Behold, it is come. I'm going to jump down to Ezekiel chapter 7 and verse 19. It says, they shall cast their silver in the streets. Now we know according to the scriptures, silver is actual real substance of money. Silver, gold, land, cattle, all right, things of that nature. That's actually called substance. That's actually real money. These FRN notes, they're not backed by anything. Okay? And their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh Shem Shai. So no amount of money or wealth is going to save you from the judgment of the Lord. It says, and their gold should not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. All right? So it's gonna be like that scene. It's gonna be like that scene from I Am Legend. You know, when he ran into that building, his dog ran into the building, and there was just piles of money. The money is gonna be worthless, man. Okay, there's gonna be a run on banks. Money in the bank's gonna disappear. The dollars that you took out is gonna be obsolete. All right.
And so, but then the governments always start robbing from the farmers, and then the farmers stop producing. So it exacerbates the problem. And the government will always accuse people of hoarding, right? So they'll actually, like Stalin said in 32, 33 in the Holodomor in Ukraine, he's like, go take it from the neighbors. They're hoarding, you know. The farmers are hoarding. You know, look for people that have smoke coming out of their chimneys at night. Follow them. Find where they have hidden in woods, you know, paying the neighbors like a third or whatever of the food that they can help find. And Mao, of course, was a student of Stalin. Mao did the same thing. And there's a great book on that called Mao's Great Famine. One of the things you see in famines, too, which is kind of strange, is fires. You'll see a lot of fires in famines. Like in the book Red Famine, you'll see a lot of fires in there. And Mao's Great Famine, they describe thousands of fires. And you see a lot of fires happening in the United States now. And
you're talking about fires at food facilities in particular, correct?
That's right. Yeah, food facilities. And one of the reasons I mean, there's different theories on why there's so many fires, but one is the people that work at the food facilities may be stealing food, or that just comes up short and they don't want to get hanged for it. So they, you know, let's say you and I run a food facility and we got to feed our family in our village. So one night we take a ton. There's 100 tons there, but to cover it up, we burn the other 99 tons, right? And so there's this. Some of it's just covered.
Right, I believe this has been happening in Babylon the Great since the start of the scamdemic. You have to have food processing plants burned down. This is Luke chapter 12 and verse 49. I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? So that fire is going to come in manifold different ways. The major way being the nukes is gonna come via wars, you know, via these famines, via forest fires, wildfires, deforestation, droughts. Okay, because that's what droughts lead to. They lead to wildfires. This is Second Ezra chapter 5 and verse 8. It says, "There shall be a confusion also in many places," right? And that's exactly that. A lot of this confusion is coming out of the whore, right? It's coming straight up from Babylon the Great, and with mainly with what their propaganda, their media. You know, that's one of Esau's main devices to deceive the world, right? And the fire shall be off sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places. So you're gonna have animals, a lot of animals or creatures being displaced. You're gonna have a lot of these animals getting out of the zoos, right? Yahweh Shem Shai is gonna use these beasts to judge wicked people. It tells you that in Jeremiah 15. It says, "And the wild beasts shall change their places, and the mistress woman shall bring forth monsters." Right. So I'm going to play just a little more of this. Then I'll read the. Actually, I can put the link for you all in the description box because I didn't want to really make this too long. I'm already coming up on an hour. This is Second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14. It says, "Woe to the world and to them that dwell therein." That woe meaning destruction. "For the sword and their destruction draw nigh." It's going to come in the form of wars, economic collapse, pestilence, right? Fires, civil war. "And one people shall stand up to fight against another." You're going to have people trying to fight the blue helmets, the martial law troops, the militias. Okay, it's going to be like the Walking Dead out here because there's actually going to be a spirit, just like the guy said, to go and get it from your neighbors, right? It says, "For there shall be sedition among men," meaning people are going to take up arms and go against their government officials, mayors, governors, etc., and invading one another. "They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power," right? Because this was about to happen on the streets of Illinois, the first of 2023. The police ain't going to step in. All right, it's going to be every man for themselves. "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to." And that could be because the city's on lockdown, climate lockdown, quarantine, for many different reasons, man. There's no access to it. It's been bombed, right? "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled with what? Extreme cold, people freezing, extreme famine, people starving, extreme heat, people dying of heat strokes, right? For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor." This is the point right here, all right? Your next door neighbor. Now we know according to the scripture, your neighbor is a fellow Israelite, someone of your nation, all right? So that could be part of it too. Because right now there's also going on what so-called black on black crime. You know, people kill each other because they're from different sides of the city. So how much more when there's no food in the stores, man? Okay. It says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." So you're not just going to have the troops doing that. You're going to have actual civilians in that spirit too. You know, and I was watching the video that the elder Tahar posted. You know, a brother had a dream concerning Jacob's trouble. And he said a group of Issacharites were at his door with machetes demanding food and water. You see, so I just go to show you, man. You know, everything we've been speaking about, you know, is actually, you know, we see it coming to fruition, right? We see how it's going to play out, right? So I'm going to touch on this a little bit. This is from End Time Headlines. It says Europeans are looking at the possibility of having to choose between staying warm or eating this winter. See, says as the citizens of the European Union and the UK are increasingly struggling to make ends meet due to the record levels of inflation, and as winter draws closer, A serious cost of living crisis is set to spiral out of control, skyrocketing energy costs, combined with galloping prices for food and other essential goods and services are bound to erase whatever was left of the middle class. You know, that also ties in with the black horse of Revelation chapter 6, man. People having to pay a day's wages for food. Okay. It says household that were once comfortable, right? Which and no one everybody's getting ready to be put in an uncomfortable situation, right? Because these elites have a saying that you're gonna own nothing and be happy, which means what? They plan on taking everything from you. Okay, and even has some savings aside, have been placed under severe financial duress already during the summer, and unfortunately the worst is yet to come. And what has been dubbed the eat or heat crisis, we can expect to see the situation deteriorate even further in the coming months, a development that could have critical and far-reaching implications beyond economics, right? So this is from the book of Second Esdras, chapter 16 and verse 17. It says, "Woe is me, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days?" Right, and this is from the prophet Esdras, man, a man of the Lord. You know, he was afraid when he saw those visions, man. How John the Revelator, a lot of the prophets, Daniel, they got sick. You know, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. That's where we're at in prophecy. Okay, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Right now, really, that's the flesh speaking, because we know the spiritual aspect is to run to the strong tower or to be called upon the name Yahweh Shem Yahushai. That's the only thing you can do. You know, behold, famine and plague. Okay, because we can't forget that now they pretty much what they're saying is that the scandemic is over. That's First Thessalonians 5, peace and safety. But when it shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes, man. Okay, so there's gonna be the Lord's gonna do something crazy out here, man. Okay, it says tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be mindful of the scourges. So with all the judgment that Yahweh Hashem is going to bring, niggas is still going to be wicked, man. Okay? It says, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth. Now, maybe that's not the case anymore with the inflation and everything, but you can still go to Dollar General, Dollar Tree, Walmart, get some things that you need, right? It says that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, the sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So if you do escape starvation, then the Lord's gonna have you get put to death some other way. Maybe some invader might kill you and take your shit, man. Or maybe you might get hit with a pestilence. Hell, maybe you might freeze. You know, maybe you might get picked up by cannibals. This is Second Esdras 15. Let's see. Second Esdras 15 and verse 57. It says, "Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fail through the sword. Thy city shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword in the field. They that be in the mountains," because a lot of people are going to escape to the mountains, try to escape what's coming. It says, "They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger and eat their own flesh," meaning they're going to be chopping off their own fingers, toes, different parts of their limbs, okay? "And drink their own blood for very hunger of bread and thirst for water." Okay, so that's the time that we're coming into, man, where people are going to get cannibal. People are going to get Jeffrey Dahmer desperate. All right, and if you haven't checked that out, man, you should check that out. You know, maybe not watch all of it, you know, because it's a lot of sick stuff, so you can be skipping it. But you know, it shows you how that guy was a spirit created for vengeance, which the Lord's getting ready to unleash more spirits like that out here, man. Right? So this is back in 2nd Ezra 16. I'm going to jump to 68. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you," and that's the devil coming down with his great wrath, right? With his persecution, with his tossing people in the camps, with his NWO, with his collapsing of the economy. He's trying to put things in place so that you go to him, okay? Because he has a God complex, right? It says, "And they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols." So certain people gonna get apprehended, right? And be tempted, man. That's why it's called the hour of temptation. With what? The charagma of Revelation 13, the bite from the dragon. "And they that consent unto them shall be had into rich and right." If you take it, if you accept it, right? If you sell your soul, right? You're gonna be mocked. Shall be had in derision and in reproach, and trodden on the foot, and ultimately be destroyed. Right? Pastor Dehart just did a recent video on, I believe it was IUIC. They're pretty much saying that you can be forgiven for accepting that, what the scripture says otherwise. Revelation 14, right, tells you whoever worship take the charagma, then pretty much you're gonna be destroyed in nuclear fire, man, in the presence of the Lamb. So that's why it's a very, very serious prophecy. Well, we'll pretty much touch on this prophecy every day. There's videos coming out on this prophecy because that's how serious it is, man. Right? "For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord." So you got guys like Vocab. They're pretty much building a case, making a documentary about us. They're gonna be used to demonize us, man. Okay, because what we're saying is actually coming to pass. Okay, it says, "They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear Yahweh Hashem Yahushua." So the Lord's gonna have these troops on one, pretty much. You're gonna have the kill spirit on them, right? It says, "For they shall waste and take away their goods." So people are actually gonna get cast out of their house. They're gonna get completely robbed, okay, by the military, okay. That's why a lot of people gonna shoot it out with them, man. It says, "And cast them out of their houses." People gonna get kicked out of their homes, and it could happen in the dead of winter, man. Actually, let's go to that. What Yahweh Shai said: "Pray that your flight be not in the winter," right? This is Matthew 22. This is Matthew 24 and verse 20. It says, "But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter," right? Because the winter is a harsh season, man. You know, very harsh season is, especially if you don't have the proper uh, clothing, boots, socks. You could freeze. Okay, the winter ain't no joke, man. It says, "But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day," right? You can get frostbite, you know. It says, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to that time, no, nor shall ever be." And this time that's coming is going to be worse than what happened to the nation of Israel during 70 AD. It's going to be worse than what happened during the time of Antiochus and the Maccabees. And the reason for that is because of technology. Okay? "And except those days should be shortened," which the days are definitely shortened, "there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." Right? We're only a couple months away from 2023. Right? I'm going to hit on this article real quick. This is from Natural News. It says, "Florida in panic of head of Hurricane Ian making landfall. Grocery shelves stripped bare." And this is going to come to all the states, man, all throughout Babylon, especially when people realize that we're headed for a global famine, people are going to panic. That there's supply chain disruptions, people are going to panic. See, right now, people are, you know, are living on the idea that things will go back to normal, not understanding that things will never go back to normal because this place has never been normal. You see, it's the second Ezra chapter 6, verse 22. And suddenly, right, and this just, they just found out about this hurricane suddenly. Okay. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall be found empty. So in this case, it's happening because of Hurricane Ian, right? Which the Lord tells you in the book of Nahum that the Lord had his way in the whirlwind. This is the book of Nahum, chapter 1, and verse 3. It says, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. I mean, the Lord ain't going to let these devils get away. You know, they have their track record have literally reached unto heaven, man. Okay? Going all the way back to the serpent in the garden. And, you know, we sigh and cry to the Lord, you know, for him to hurry up and judge them. But in all actuality, the Lord ain't going to quit the wicked, man. They ain't going to get off scot-free. Okay? And Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua had his way in the whirlwind and in the storm and the clouds of the dust of his feet. Right? So I'll just get a little of this and I'll get a couple more scriptures. It says, the first major hurricane to strike Florida in 4 years, Hurricane Ian, is causing mass panic in the Sunshine State, which a lot of people left places like New York, California, and guess where they went? Florida. There was a mass migration to Florida. Okay? But a lot of these people, they weren't prepared for no hurricane to come suddenly like it did. That's the judgment of the Lord. It says, as residents swarm grocery stores in desperate search of supplies, leaving shelves apocalyptically bare ahead of the storm making landfall, photos captured over the weekend when Ian was still just in tropical storm show grocery lines extending far to the backs of the empty stores. I'm going to look up that name, Ian. His names are spiritual, you know? Let's just see real quick. Oh, wow. So when you look up the name Ian, it means God is gracious. It says Ian is of a Scottish, which though going back to the Scots or Israelites, Scottish Gaelic origin, and it's the Scottish version of the name John. Okay? So that Hurricane Ian, or really Hurricane John, meaning God is gracious, man. But unto who? Unto the elect, though, of the nation of Israel. Right? It says images of customers at hardware stores like Home Depot also showed people trying to purchase last-minute plywood, tools, and other construction materials to board up their homes in anticipation of the worst. Governor Ron DeSantis issued an emergency declaration across the state as meteorologists predict that the storm will hit the Tampa Bay area of the state. And the storm name is Ian, which means God is gracious. You know, so me, how about Shem shall be gracious unto all the Akim that's down there in the Sunshine State, man. You know, on Sunday morning, Ian was located about 540 miles off the coast of Cuba's western tip. Before striking that country, meteorologists expected the storm to reach major hurricane strength. All right, now I'll just get one more. And of course, we all know that the scripture, we should, you know, be familiar with it. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, and verse 6. It says, thou shalt be visited of Yahweh Shem Yahushua of hosts. And this is what we're witnessing, man, is the visitation of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, the collapse of economies, mass pestilence, mass people dropping like flies, 1,000 on this side, 10,000 on that side, storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis, wild beasts changing their places, fires, right? This is the visitation. It says, these are also the signs of Yahushua's coming. It says, thou shalt be visited of Yahweh Shem Yahushua of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. So with that, I'm going to end it there. I pray that this has been a edifying, lesson. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect.